Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Viking Academy podcast. So, this week on the podcast, I have Ursula Lentini. Lentini, very Italian, and I want to make sure I get the last name right. She was introduced to me through a great friend of mine, Don Barden. He's been on the podcast many times. And Don had had an experience with her working with her energy healing. um, she works at the quantum level, the quantum realm. She's going to be able to explain it a lot better once we get into the podcast. I get her to explain it, what she does. This podcast really impacted me, and it was a longer one than I've normally done because we just kept going deeper and deeper into not only what's coming into the world, this awareness and embracing our spirit side, but we dive deep into the session she did with me. So, well, one of the first things she did when we connected with each other through Dawn is she said, "Eric, I want to give you one of my healing sessions, and we're going to go do a session together." And holy crap, um, it was nuts. It was incredible. And she explained it a lot more near the end of the podcast when we get into the details of what she walked me through. And I don't want to spoil it here in the intro, but literally we jumped right into the quantum realm and visited up to the eighth dimension. Um, I explain it in much detail in the podcast, and she explains what had happened along the way. And again, with all these podcast guests, I get so much from these interviews. I love doing these interviews. I hope you love listening to them. And I hope you're getting as much as me and that you're embracing that exploration spirit, because I'm telling you, just like, don't believe or disbelieve a damn thing I say or anybody else says. Okay. Just go explore and figure it out. You either know or you don't know. And the only way to know is to experience it. So, um, I really hope you enjoy this podcast with Ursula. I hope you experience it the way I did, which is filled with passion and purpose. It's so cool. Um, this will be her turn up to bat to share with you, and you'll understand what that means when you get into the podcast a little bit later. Okay, so there we go. Let's go. Export. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
That was you. You were tentatively going, what? What am I supposed to do more here?
No, I think you're saying it to the audience, not to me, because
Yeah,
I'm
no,
here
I was saying it to you.
already.
I was saying to you. Okay, so let's oh, where do I start? So for just I'm just a backdrop for the listeners. You and I met through Don Barden, great friend of mine, great peer. Had him on the podcast. I'm gonna have him on the podcast again. Him and I got a lot more to talk about. And he shared with me his experience with you, doing the work he was doing with you. He told me the story of what he went through, and I was like, oh my God, I need to meet this woman. And then you and I talked, and you're like, okay, first, before we do the podcast, we're going to do a session together. And then we did a session together. And like, this is the first time you and I've actually met each other face to face. And I'm like, I can't wait to walk through what you did with me and what happened. So just for the listeners, so they understand that. But before we start, could you just give a framework of who you are, what you do, and then we're going to get in what you did with me,
Okay.
because I'm still assimilating it.
Yeah, that we did something incredible there. That's not a common session, but of course, I'm sure you don't live a common life, so of course that would fit. So I'm Ursula Lentini. I have a doctorate in consciousness studies, which is the intersection for metaphysics, quantum physics, and spirituality. I have been on this path since day one. The further you go in the path and you look back, you realize, like, oh, this isn't my first rodeo. Many lifetimes I've been doing this kind of work, and I'm happy to be safe to be able to do the work, because back in the day, they didn't like when you told the truth, and they didn't like when you could see through them, and you could. So now is a time where people's gifts are emerging that their soul is carrying, and they're ready to express it and to share it, and it's safe. We're not going to get killed this time. It's okay to be psychic. It's okay to be intuitive. It's okay to be clairvoyant and clairaudient. So lots of people, all your listeners, lots of people on this track are waking up to the gifts that they have inside, and it's I think the future is going to be very, very beautiful.
I had quite a few conversations with Tammy Grantham about this. She's someone I want you to meet as well. Um, and she was explaining in the past lifetime, she goes, "Oh yeah, we weren't able to do what we're doing now, Eric, in the past lives because we were killed for it." Like she remembers being killed for being a witch, basically. She said, being a witch. And I said, "Well, I don't remember that." And she goes, "Oh, but you will." She goes, "You will remember." I'm like, "I don't remember. I don't remember this stuff."
You don't have to. Just know that, because when
Yeah.
people, they're like, oh, and they're afraid, then we have to say, well, why am I afraid? Like, it's just something inside of me. But we're afraid because somewhere in the memory banks, if it's not us, it could be our ancestors, written in our DNA, like, don't do that. Last time that thing happened, there's big trouble. So just like our brain says, don't touch the hot plate, don't do this, don't jump off the roof, you'll break your arm. Like our brain figures it out and records and remembers. So cellularly, ancestrally, we'll remember, like, hey, if your family bloodline has some gifts, keep it to yourself.
So you said you've had this gift, and I want to get into what you actually do, but you've said you've known you've had this gift from the get-go, from the beginning. Like when you were a child, did you know right away and you were like dialed in, or was this like a discovery for you? Did you have to explore and kind of,
Both,
yeah, okay.
both, right?
Okay.
So when you look back, you're like, oh, that. So my grandmother, Italian grandmother, Sicilian bloodline, she used to read tea leaves in her kitchen table with her friends. The neighborhood would gather on her on her porch for counsel. Like, she was a very loving person, and I have the privilege of having her namesake, so she was also Ursula, and she was very influential on me. And she had pancreatic cancer, which is a quick cancer. She had it for 4 years. She's like, I'm not dying. And she like spread it out, and she's like, okay, when you come back on your vacation, I think I'll be getting ready to go. My dad was
Really?
like, you sure we don't want us to go? No, I'll be fine. So that's the kind of person was in my field. Her sister, you go into her house, Aunt Josie's house, and she had one chair for herself in her living room, and she had life-size statues of Jesus and Mary and the palms and the incense and the prayers, and she would take people on pilgrimages to Fatima. So like, and I was raised Catholic, so I hook, line, and sinker, God is love, and all of this. Second grade, I had a spiritual experience where I felt the presence of God in church. And it was like overwhelming, and I started crying. But you're a kid and you're like, that was cool. you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you just keep going on. But in retrospect, you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And I would talk back to my dad as an adult. I mean, like, you're not doing this right, like, you can't be like this. And he's like, shut your mouth, you little shit.
Really?
Yeah.
So you kind of knew from the get-go.
You don't know. You just are.
You just okay. See, I'm a very cerebral, like
I
very I
know.
was
That's okay. That's good.
thinker, like big thinker, like lots of thinking, like the um that was one thing that happened when with our session at the end of it, but the thinking evaporated. Like
Yeah,
I was not thinking.
I know.
It's like complete evaporation of thought.
Yes.
It was
Because,
just it was being. I was just a complete beingness.
yes. So here's the deal, why we think so much. Because I also am a thinker. As a metaphysician, you're trying to figure it all out. My life question is why. As soon as something happens, as soon as somebody says something, I'm just like, why? Why would somebody do that? Why do we do that? Why is that okay? Why? From a kid. So when we are thinking, if you look, when we're born, we sense. We have an environmental sensory going on. Like,
Mhm.
oh, this is nice, or oh, this is dangerous, or oh, something's going on, or oh, I don't feel comfortable. There's no like thought process in an infant's brain because there's no like, it's not dialed in yet. So they're just kind of sensing everything. And then they start going like, oh, I feel scared. Then the emotions come online. And then they start like, oh, when the door's closed, everybody goes away and I'm in the space alone and I feel unsafe. They don't say, oh, they're in the other side of the door because they don't have all that idea yet. Right. So it's like first we sense and then we emote and then we start putting it together. So those of us who spend a lot of time in our head thinking is because the emotions are not comfortable. So we try to outthink our emotions and then we can feel safe, okay, accepted, lovable, all the things.
That makes a lot more sense for me. There's like the thinking through and being going into becoming a brainiac and doing the mathematics and becoming an accountant and doing all that brain stuff. It was trying to think my way through it because I was definitely not comfortable with my emotions. I was a very emotional child. I'm still a very emotional human. I'm adult right now, but I'm at least more in touch with the fact that the emotions, well, not 100%, that they're not bad. They're just my emotions and trying to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
They used to take me over and just run with me. But then something happened, and then I started thinking my way through things and trying to not get hurt. Right. For
right.
me, it's always I want to be loved and I don't want to be hurt.
Yep,
Right. And so my overthinking has, yeah, that makes sense. It's a compensated for the not being comfortable with my feelings.
right. We're trying to outthink our emotions.
Yeah. How does that work, by the way?
It does.
It
See,
does work.
ask yourself, like, look, you've made it through life. Like,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
husband,
yeah. You
you know
survived.
what
You
I
made
mean?
it.
It works. It works. It's a working model. Alcoholism is a working model, right? Drug addiction's a working model. Workaholics a working model. Putting the role on, like I'm a mother and I'm providing for my children. That's a working model. So anything we can do to avoid feeling our feelings that works, you're fine until
Right.
you're not. Until you wake up and you're like, something's not working.
Yeah, you've been reading my mail. That was me and my alcoholism. It was working until it didn't.
Right.
Yeah, and then it hurt too much and then it I remember waking up too from that, like that dream. Like I was like out, and that it's like we talk about a spiritual awakening in the recovery movement. I just remember that. I remember it vividly, sitting across the table talking to my brother-in-law, and he was telling me what had happened the night before, and all of a sudden I went, and it was like I woke up, came out from underneath the water, and went, "What am I doing drinking? I'm an alcoholic. Like what the hell?" Like it was like just like you popping out of a dream,
Right.
right? And so that model worked until it hurt too much and then it broke itself.
Yeah.
So is there a model that we can use that doesn't hurt and break itself at the end?
Yeah.
Ah,
But it's hard.
uh-huh. But I want that.
We all do. We all do. And luckily enough, this is the time period in history that we can do it and do it safely. So what is the model? It's humility. It's being with our emotions. It's self-care. It's listening to our intuition, our instincts. It's listening to what our heart's desire is, what we've each been programmed to be in this planet.
That and it's interesting that you started the podcast with saying that it wasn't safe before, but now you're saying it's safe now. And it's really interesting because I feel for a lot of people. I was doing my coaching calls because I have multiple businesses. So I'm doing coaching calls, and this one happened to be with someone in one of my businesses that I own. So I'm coaching the person inside the business. And he said that he's been talking to a lot of people and said they are all so scared right now. People are really scared. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of interesting that you say that now is the safe, it's this is this like people are more scared, but it's a safer time for us to actually apply the model.
Yes,
And
sir.
is it the same? Wait a second. Is this the same thing as kind of like with my alcoholism? It got to the point of the absolute pain and the depths, and that was the perfect time to wake up. So everybody's actually in that. Pain is the touchstone of all growth. So therefore, we're in the scariest part. Everyone's in the most amount of fear, which is the perfect time for everybody to wake up. That's why it's the safest time.
100%.
Well, holy hell.
Isn't this fun?
Wow. Okay. That to me, that's my dopamine hit. That's where I see connectivity in the and start making sense. Like you said, you always ask the why. I've been a why person too my whole life. I've been like, well, why? And as I remember, my mother was just like, "Well, that's just the way you behave." And I remember finally questioning her once, and I said, "Well, why?" And she looked at me with such disdain, like just how dare you even question why? It's just the way it's done. And I looked at her like I'm going, it's like I'm looking at a person possessed, right? Like there was like I
That
couldn't even
doesn't
ask why.
because what they're as a child in our innocence in our truth, right? Because when to me when we're born, we came straight from heaven, and then we kind of forget along the way. So I did child youth ministry for 15 years and would teach children about spirituality and tuning in and all the things and trusting your intuition, and um they had it like they were golden. And then I'd work with my adult clients and I'd be like, when are you going to get this? Like, it's not complicated. So in our childlike innocence and the clarity that we have to be able to see the truth because we came from the truth and we are the truth, and then the parents and the adults and the construct and the schools and the books and that they're telling us something that doesn't make sense. So when you're looking at your mom cross-eyed and she's just got her hands on her hip, like, stop questioning. This is the pattern. This is the rules. This is the way we do it. And
Yeah.
you're like, but mom, it doesn't make sense. And I thought you loved me. Why are you lying to me?
Yes. 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 And it was weird because I could see right through it. Like I was going, but you're telling me something like as if it's written in gold and written in this tablet. And I'm like going, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, and so why are you just blindly following what everyone else has told you prior? Like, I picture a bunch of lemmings. That's why they end up walking off the cliff. You just fall. We're going for a walk. And I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Like,
Right.
forget it. You're going off for the cliff. And they're like, no, we're going for a walk, right? And yeah. I've walked off the cliff enough times I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. I tried. I
Yeah.
tried to fit in. I tried because, animal wise, you stay in the herd. Because if you go out of the herd,
Yeah.
you put everybody in jeopardy. And they don't like you leaving because you're like, hey, we're in the trees right now. If you go out in that field where the sunshine is, the lion can see you. And then you're going to be lunch and we're going to lose you. And we need you because you're part of the tribe. And the lion will be like, oh, where'd this one come from? And he's going to start looking around the woods and he's going to see us. So you better keep your mouth shut and get in line and stay in the tribe and don't venture out.
Now, there's an interesting twist to that. I've used that analogy with other people before, but not in the sense that you just did. Like I've said, why does it feel so uncomfortable to be standing outside of the herd? And I said, it's because we're still working on our reptilian lizard brain, which says if you don't stay in the pack, you're on the Sahara, you're Serengeti, and you're going to get eaten because you're out there. But you added something else to this that I've never thought about or even connected is you said the herd itself is not happy with me going out there because they a want me in the group because they need me to be there, and two, if you go out there, you're going to signal to the lions where we are because they're going to know that you're somewhere close and you're going to find us. That I never articulated to that. I always had it more of the singular. Just the reason why I get scared when I venture from the herd is because I feel like I'm going to die,
Yeah.
but not the guilt that the herd is getting angry with me or upset with me leaving because it wants me there. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good prequel. So let's go. I want to go into what you do with your clients and what
Okay.
you did, and then what you did with me,
Okay.
because I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Which
I
is,
got a lot.
and I'm trying not to be cerebral about it, but I'm going to be.
No, yeah, that's fine. No,
But it's an
because
exploration. Like it's an exploration.
right. And
So
one of my teachers in pranic healing, he said, don't blindly accept what I'm teaching you. I want you to think about it and I want you to evaluate it and understand it for yourself. So I've done lots of spiritual teaching, so many different techniques and ideas and religions and all the things. No one ever says that because religion typically is a tribal kind of thing. Like just believe what we say and follow along and go off the cliff. So when this teacher said, no, no, I need you to think for yourself, because he was a chemical engineer. This is Master Choa Koksui. He's the founder of pranic healing and Arhatic yoga, which is something I'm very dedicated to because it works. And because he was logical about it and practical about it. So if he's like, hey, I'm trying to teach you guys something, please think about it so you can understand it, so you can really use it. To
don't
me, that's what we're supposed to be doing, with understanding. So when you're like, oh, I'm cerebral about this, good. Because the more we understand it, the more we can relax and trust it and dive into it.
do you remember spiritual teacher Krishnamurti?
I've heard of him. I don't
Okay.
know the.
Brilliant. He's like, um, he was so razor focused and he is like East Indian, big English accent, and he would just like they thought he was the next Messiah. They brought him up as he was going to be the next guy, and he basically said, "You're all trying to find a process to get to the way," and he goes, "There is no process," and he would just said. It's just right here. He was razor pointed, focused on it. But every time he would do a speaking event, and he was like, this was back in the 60s, and he was big groups of people would come around him, and he says, I'm not your guru. And he would say, don't believe or disbelieve a single thing that comes out of my mouth. Do not believe or disbelieve a single thing. And I've been using that a lot in my speaking
Quest.
events and when I'm coaching. It's like I'm
Hmm.
coaching entrepreneurs and I'm standing in the room. And the first thing I tell them, I said, do not believe or disbelieve a single thing that comes out of my mouth. And they go, huh? And all of a sudden, I've opened a space for them to explore for themselves so that I'm not preaching from a hilltop,
Right.
right? But it's very true. And I love what you're saying there is because if you either know or you don't know, and if you believe or if you disbelieve, you've just blocked off the ability to know
There you go.
complete. Like, and
Yeah.
so that's why, again, for me in the Viking Academy, it's this exploration of mind, body, and spirit. And I'm just keep exploring and I keep exploring. And it's interesting because and I just want to share this part. I've actually had some feedback from some people that know me closely, and they started telling me, they're going, Eric, you first started the podcast, I was following along, but now you're getting into this woo-woo space, and I'm not really sure I follow you, dude. Like, are you sure? It's like the herd is telling me you're venturing too far away from us now, Eric. You're making us uncomfortable.
Right.
And and that is like I'm like, well, if you don't explore, you won't know.
I know.
So I'm like having all these great, amazing conversations. And what I'm finding, Ursula, is that every person I talk to on the podcast, they're giving me another little piece that seems to unlock an understanding, and like a not a
Knowingness.
cerebral knowing, but
Yes.
like a
Yes.
body know, like a
Yes.
knowing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like it's just like, oh, right. And it's like a remembering, so to speak.
Yes, like the child and the innocence, because they come from a truth. Because when truth is spoken, it's understood. It's not questioned. It's not like I say when truth is spoken, silence follows. Because everyone's like, ah, finally somebody said something that's like dependable. So that's what you're experiencing. You're like, oh, they've unlocked this thing, and it's like almost like a blinder got off, and now I can see better, and I can see the truth. And the truth isn't always beautiful, but so what? I'd rather the truth than the ugly lie.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
giving,
back to answering your question, because
yeah.
I wanted to put that out first. What I do primarily is internal family systems as a model. So internal family systems is a misnomer because it was based on family systems, meaning, you've got the father and the mother in a typical traditional family, and then the pecking order of the children and the ancestors and so on. So that was the only kind of model that they had in the psychology realm. So then he's like, oh, it's like family systems, but it's internalized. So us lay people are like, whatever, what is this thing you're talking about? So basically, what internal family systems is all the voices in our head. Everybody has that conversation going on 24/7. But isn't it strange that we don't talk about all these voices in our head to each other?
Mm, not really, because if we really start telling people all the voices in our head, we're worried we're going to get locked up.
Right,
You know what I
because
mean? Because it
they're
sounds like you schizophrenic, Eric, and I'm like, no, I just keep hearing all the voices.
they're not nice.
Most of the
Most of
time, they're
them
not. Yeah.
are not nice. So, what internal family systems does, the model is we go inside to the subconscious where all those programs are. So, we go into the hard drive of our system and we're like, oh, that thought that says you're not good enough? Universal, by the way. Haven't met anybody who doesn't have that. And why the heck were we programmed with that one? I have a theory about that, but it's not important. So we go in and we talk to those concepts, those ideas, those repeat voices, those looping thoughts, and we break it down and we're like, okay, where'd this come from? And then we heal the emotion that's underlying that.
Because the emotion is where the blocked and stored energy is, isn't it? Or the blocked energy. If I'm not articulating that correctly, please correct me.
Yes, it's locked. So say 3 years old. So, back to these kids, 3 and 4 years old, we start realizing like, oh, this isn't heaven, like where I just came from. So people are separate, the universal core issue of all spiritual practices, the separation. So I guess I'm living in a separate reality here that's not comfortable and not fun. This is the terrible twos in my mind, right? When people realize we're separate, that's why we're so crotchety and angry and upset. And then 3 and 4, you're like, all right, well, this is the game I gotta play. Let me figure this out. And then, oh, I'm crying, nobody's coming. That means nobody cares. Oh, I'm not worthy of being cared for. Oh, I should be small. I should be quiet. My feelings don't count. So these are basically emotions. And then the little 3, 4 year old is like making these conclusions. And then they're like, oh, yeah, because then it happens out every day because what we're looking for, that's what we're going to find. And we see the evidence and we're like, yeah, okay, I'll make this conclusion. So by 5, we kind of like, oh, I'm just like an extra person and I don't really matter. And then like at 45, 50, 60, we're like, oh yeah, I'm an extra person. I really don't matter. You see, it just stays there.
Right.
And that becomes a part of our hard drive. So we make decisions, we communicate, we engage in relationships, we, do our work track accordingly. None of it's been true.
this comes back to a bigger why question then. Like, why do we go through that process? Because
Evolution.
it's been happening for eons, and
Yeah.
like I don't think we're talking about any kind of evolutionary difference that's between us and the original humans, so to speak. Like
Right. We're really slow. We're really
well,
slow.
that's what it is. I was thinking that too. It's like we're really slow learners,
Yeah,
right?
really slow.
Is my
But
my
like how like we don't understand because we've not been taught, right? But say, we've been put on this planet. I have this funny little, I think it's funny. Like, we're all in heaven and we're all these little people and God's like, oh, okay. And then the little people are like, hey, we want to create too. And God's like, look, I'm still working out lots of kinks. This is a process. No, we can do it. We can do it. We're you. Like, it's like, nah, I'm telling y'all, we're not ready. Like, no, please, 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 please. Okay, look, I have an idea. I was sleeping on it last night. I think I'm just gonna put a little like dot, a blue dot way over here in the big, like no one else is around. It was just a little scientific experiment. Like I'm going to give you the freedom of choice. I'm going to make all these things super easy to choose from. One's going to be a bad answer, and one's going to be a very good answer, and the rest will be bad answers. All you have to do is pick the good answer. Okay? And they're like, "Yay! We can do it! We can do it!" It's like, okay, this should take like 2 months. So they put us on the planet. The whole Adam and Eve story happened, and different versions. And we're still like, let's see, what should I do here? Should I do the boring, straight middle path, the Buddhist way? Or should I do the tempting one? Or should I do the shortcut one? Or should I do the nasty one? And we haven't figured it out. All these thousands of years later, we're
yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to do the boring one. I like, why would I do that?
And God's just sitting up there shaking his head, going, "Oh,
Right.
you did that.
Right.
Ah,
I
ha,
told him. I told them, but they listen to me. No.
ha." I I had a thought a long time ago, and I've shared it with quite a few people that I said, I think if you frame it this way, it's like we were in heaven, we were part of God, we were the oneness, and we want to go have some fun. So I'm going to come down to earth, but before I do, I'm going to get to take, from Matrix, it's the red or the blue pill. I get to take an amnesia pill, and I come down, I forget who I am. And I go do that. And then when I die, I come back up and I remember everything. And I go, oh, that was so much fun. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Like this time, bring me down as a billy goat. I'll be a goat this time. Okay, great. And I won't live very long. But I'll have a little bit of billy goat fun, and then I'll come back, and then we'll figure out the next one I'm going to do. Right. And then it's like you go down and you forget you're down here, and you're going, fuck, this place sucks. This is horrible. And then you come back and you wake up again and go, oh, that was great. It's like the Total Recall,
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I envisioned. And I went, as soon as I thought of that, I felt I when I think of that concept, it actually makes me feel calm and relaxed
Right.
inside. And it's that
Right.
feeling of, oh, yeah, okay.
It's just a game.
Like it's just a game. Like
Yeah.
it's just but I like the idea of that that we were like whining to him and wanted him to give us get us in and let us have our game and to play it. And he's like, oh, fine, fine, go. It's really easy. It's a really easy one. Okay, we can do this. And it's like we're so slow learners, right? That's what my coach actually, Dan Sullivan, he said his favorite client is a slow learner with deep pockets.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just keep coming, you just keep coming back, right?
But
And
they're making progress.
he's making progress, but he's joking about it, but he's serious at the same time, right? But we're very, very slow as a human race.
Yeah.
Um,
You know why? Because we're babies. Because if, once we really get going on the path and we say, oh, this works, this works, this works, it takes discipline. And Alison Armstrong, she's a great teacher for masculine and feminine and understanding the male and female. And her concept is something that I prescribe to. It's we're going from human animal to human spirit.
mm, I like that. I like that.
So we're fear driven, moving towards trust driven. And then we're like, oh, how come I can't get this? Is then we have to think I'm in one life in this one little teeny weeny on the time scale of generations, right? And then who knows how many galactic federations were the ones on the battlefield for.
Say that again. The
Mm-hmm.
galactic battlefield.
Right. So once you guys, keep going down the rabbit hole, you're like, wait, how's it possible that we're the only one here in this entire cosmos? This like there's how can we possibly be? Maybe we're not aware because we're infants of like how many layers to the universe there are. And if we exist, surely others can exist. So then where are the others, or why are we the only one here? We're always looking at the sky for generations, right? Everyone's always looking, contemplating what's out there, what's out there. Perhaps we've come from somewhere out there. We don't say heaven is like sideways. We say heaven's up. So it's almost like where's home? Because sometimes people don't feel like they're at home in their family, on the planet, in their body.
That I had that thought the other day. I was sitting outside, I was looking up at the stars, and I kept thinking about the human, all the stories in the past. Like there's that, I can't remember even what the constellation is, but there's a set of three stars that are set up and they look like the three pyramids in Egypt, like they're in that constellation. And I was going, that concept that actually that's where we come from. We're from up there. And that was that weird fascination with the sky and the vision that that's where we come from. Like, do you have a why behind that? Do you like why we've been so fascinated with that?
We must, like, we're not dust. We're a little bit more than dust,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
right? So where's the part of us, the animating part of this physical being? Like this is our meat suit for this lifetime. Like you said, I want to be a billy goat. I want to be Ursula. I want to be a female. I want to be, 2026. So we must come from somewhere. And then where possibly can we come from? So we can say heaven, we can use the word heaven, and then there must be some other realms that are similar to us because they say, oh, God made us in its likeness and image. And I'm like, probably not. I think we made God in our likeness and image, right? Because we're not so smart, right? We're not so brilliant. We're babies, I think. But at the same time, what if we were the most dense version of the universe? And we're here to play and prove laws and principles or the evolutionary process or expression of the divine. Because I've studied so many things. So some of the conversations are, oh, the angels and everybody and the etheric beings, they wish they could be mortals. Like we had to stand in line a really long time in order to come down on this planet and play this game and actually have feelings and actually have a body. And back to Master Choa's work, he's like, yes, everybody loves to meditate and leave their body because we don't, that emotional thing where we don't really like it. And then if we have any abuse, to be in our body is very scary. So people just pop out and they kind of like puppeteer their physical body. But he's like, why do you think you have a body? Why do you think this whole construct is here? It's to bring the spiritual energy down into our body and make a translation where it's physical and spiritual, where we're a spiritual person having a physical experience. And then what are we going to do with that? Back to the freedom of choice.
This is where I've had this reoccurring feeling around alignment. And Dawn's got a new book coming out. And did you get a
Yes,
read
I
on it?
did.
You
Yes,
did
I
too?
did.
Oh, I did too. I was like, oh, mwah, masterpiece. It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful book. And one of the lines in there was alignment is not something you optimize, it's something you surrender to.
Yes.
And it's this alignment, and I've likened it to the Viking Academy. And in behind me, for those who are listening to the audio and not seeing the video, I've got three things in the background. And it's this is my body, the axis for my body. This is my unique ability statement, which is my mind, a representation of my mind. And then the serpent eating its
Tail.
tail, which is the Viking shield, is a representation of spirit. So I always look back and I think about my body, mind, and spirit aligning and coming together. And that's what you just said about bringing the spirit back into the body and aligning it so that the full expression comes forth,
Yes.
like that full expression. Because it's like I've just this nagging feeling that there's like I'm like not that something's missing, but that I've missed the joke.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I've missed the joke.
And we all have.
I'm like, this can't be this like serious and this upsetting, especially like even if you look at it logically, like logically, and a lot of stoicism. So every morning I get up, I do my readings. I read a daily reflections from the AA literature, and then I read one chapter or one paragraph from Marcus Aurelius meditations. And it's so clear to me. He goes, well, the fact that you're going to be dust tomorrow, like literally, it's like, why are you getting so freaked out? Like logically, stoically, you go, it's a very short period of time. And then all the people that have upset you and that you get all bent out of shape about, they've been dead they're going to die tomorrow, right? Eventually they're going to be gone. And so why are we getting all upset? Like logically, it doesn't
Right.
make sense
Yeah.
for us to get so bent and spun around all the time when we're not here that long and it doesn't like really doesn't matter. But there's something that's driving us. Do you know where I'm going?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love this point because see, these kinds of conversations I don't get to have every day. Right. So this is like, I'm like, yes. Okay. So just slow down a second there. So back to what I said. What if we had to, and this is your like, when it's your baseball, you know,
Yeah.
and you're sitting and you're waiting, and it's my turn, and that guy screwed up. Now the pressure's on me, and it's or it's your turn to sing, and there's an audience, and you've been practicing. It's our frigging turn right here, right now. So yes, we're gonna be dust tomorrow. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Marky. Right? And all my ancestors are counting on me right now because I am in charge of this reality and I am creating everything I choose. I am creating a new reality. And every time I make repeat choices that are failing me, I'm like, well, what am I doing? And every time I make repeat choices that are working for me, I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. So, what I think, what's this game that we're playing here? What's the joke? My recent conclusion is this is heaven on earth. We're here. It's just for us to discover it and then create it. Because we're always wanting and searching and blah, 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 blah. No, it's this moment right here, like your teacher said. It's right here, dude. We made it. This is it right here.
Yes, it's right here, right now. I actually, Don reminded me of the conversation him and I had when we were walking together. I think we're in Kelowna doing a collaboration together, and all of a sudden the wind whisked by us, like just the breeze came by. And I said to him, I turned and looked at him, and we got to deeper conversations. I said, "Did you feel that breeze?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, you felt that breeze differently than me." And he goes, "What?" And I said, I think God loves us so much that he gave us us. Like he loves me so much that he gives me Eric and he gives you Dawn. You experienced that breeze different than I did. And what you get to experience in your life is 100% yours. That is the beautiful gift that you received. And it becomes that I like this. This is my turn up to bat. Like now he's given me this chance to actually experience the thing known as Eric, the Viking, which is finally, I've come into that one, right? I've been a Viking my whole life, but I didn't step back into my role, shall we say, my turn up to
Hmm.
bat
Hmm.
until the last few years. I finally went, yeah, I'm going to start calling myself the Viking again because that's who I am. And it feels good. And it feels like, yeah, that's who you are. But that God loves me so much that he gave me just me. So all my experiences, my feelings, everything, I can be standing beside someone else. That exact same physical outer world can happen the exact same time, but he's going to experience it totally different than me because God loves me so much. He wants me to have my experience. He wants Don to have his experience. He wants
Yeah.
Ursula to have her experience.
Right.
Like that's that's such a freeing feeling, right? And it's just a game. This is my turn up to bat. Do I have to pay you royalties on that one? Because I'm using that one over and over
Go
again. I
ahead.
love that.
Go ahead.
I love that. Okay, hold on one sec. You said something about that you didn't want to get into it. I'm going to come back to it. Whether or not you actually addressed it or not, you're going to clarify that for me. But it said, we're programmed to feel like we're not enough. And you said you had a theory on that.
Okay.
What is
Okay.
that theory?
So when we're born, right, we're given an identity, we're given a family, we're given gifts, talents, and traits, we're given a culture, and then not good enough. Why the heck would that be a part of the program?
I've been trying to figure that one out my whole life because I literally feel that all the time. Even when I'm successful and people say, "Oh my God, you're amazing," I'm still like, I still don't feel like I'm good enough.
Right. So to me, if I couple that theory with the Ellis and Armstrong moving from animal to spirit, right? Human animal to human spirit, all of these things can be spiritual, right? My talents and my family and my culture and my identity. This one is for the ego. I'm not good enough is for the ego. Because if I can tame my ego, if I can evolve my ego to trust my spirit, and that ego is like, I shouldn't lead, right? Because you know, if you're not strong and someone else is strong, that other person would be better off. We don't like it, right? Because we want to be strong too. But if I can say to my ego, like my ego's like, you should probably keep your mouth shut instead over there and let spirit lead. And ego's finally like, you know what? Every time spirit leads, it works out so much better. And I get to have the credit. It's a good deal.
That's a great deal.
So it takes, this is the evolutionary process. One of them is for ego to calm down, to be the dog, right? Because if you get a dog and it's all over the place and it's peeing, pooping, and barking, and all the things and all the things and all the things, and you finally train. And the dog's like, oh, if I behave in a certain manner, I look like a great guy. I can love my master and serve my master and be the protector that I am. And I get to eat, and I get to do all the things, and I get to run. Like, this is awesome. All I have to do is behave in a certain way, and we all win.
I'm assimilating this in a very deep way. I'm trying to, so the ego feeling like it's not good enough, you think is a mechanism to help us actually, it's actually leading us to stepping to tell the ego, yeah, you aren't good enough. Let the spirit lead. Let the spirit lead because you aren't good enough. Stop trying to be good enough and step aside and let your spirit drive the bus.
Now, check this shit out.
Okay.
This is the whole devil story. Because the idea, the whole story is the devil was an angel. And just like the little scenario I gave, the funny thing, the devil said, oh, I can be God. And God's like, you idiot. You are God. He's like, no. I want to be God. And God's like, whatever, dude. Have fun. So then the devil comes down and he's like, ha ha ha, I can do anything God can do, but better, rah rah rah. And now we're all suffering for thousands of years because of that concept.
That the ego can be God
Yeah.
when you already are God and you just need to allow it to happen.
Duh!
That, uh, I'll go. I was having this conversation with a sponsee of mine. I was having that conversation and I said, have you ever just, deep down inside if you're going to do something that's not right? It's not right. Like, but I'm going to go do it anyways. And the ego's driving the bus. But there's an intuition, there's a inspiration in the back that's saying, don't do that. And when any of you listen to that inner voice, that inner knowing, shall we not say voice, the inner knowing, because we talked about the voices before and they're normally negative, then talking down to myself. But that inner going, this is what you should be doing. And then you sit into that and go, yeah, that would be the right thing. But I'm going to go do this anyways because I think I can do it. That's the story of the of Satan. That's the story of Lucifer going, I know I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to be God. But God's going, no, 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 just stay here. He's like, no, no, I've got it. That's that internal good and evil. That's the story. That's the conflict internally.
Yeah. At each choice.
At each choice and each, yeah. So again, I come back to the recovery movement. It's all about God couldn't what if he were sought. How do you seek the higher power? The problem with an alcoholic is the overinflated ego and replace and then surrendering to a higher power. So seeking a higher power, it's seeking God. And so that's the whole program's about, just channeling to find this higher power. And then you will actually have conscious contact, improve your conscious contact with the creator, and then follow the dictates of that higher power and you will find amazing things come to pass. And that's been my experience. Like when I follow that spirit, everything works out great. But then my ego jumps in and wants to drive the bus.
Right.
I can do it better.
Right. What if it's all that simple? The
Um,
whole devil story that remember back in the old days, they had a black and white cartoon with the
yes.
devil on the
Yeah.
one shoulder and the angel on the other, and who's you going to listen to? Or in the text, I think it's Lakota, where the wolves are talking, and which wolf the grandfather said, the son, the grandson of grandfather, which, how do I know? And he's like, you listen to what the wolf, the this wolf or that wolf, and then that, that's how we decide, because the whole point of this human experience is the privilege of choice.
Yeah, in that story it says which wolf wins. You said the one that you feed the most.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what that's
Thank
the
you.
well, yeah, it's the wolf,
Yes,
the good wolf, the bad wolf. Which one
right.
wins? And you say the one that you feed the most
Exactly.
wins. So if you
Exactly.
feed the ego wolf, it's going to win. If you
Right.
feed the higher self wolf, you're it will win.
Right. When you
Right.
will win.
You will win. Yeah. Um,
I have some ideas around alcoholism, if I can share them.
please do.
Okay, because I've worked with thousands of people, and you just see the patterns after a while. And I go into the depths of people's being. They tell me things that they don't even say out loud to themselves. So very, very deep, deep, deep work. And over time, I've noticed working with people who struggle with addiction is those are the creatives of the world.
Yeah.
They're really beautiful, amazing, creative, just lovely, sensitive, emotionally in touch people. And the world's just too aggressive. So they've had to create a buffer around them like a donut, just for safety, because the world is too harsh for those kind of people that are wired in that way.
Yeah,
And
that's
when creative people are one with God in their music, in their words, in their cooking, in their whatever thing, they experience a oneness if they're allowing themselves to be in their creative space. So they create, they're one with God, and then once the thing is created, they kind of slide down, and then the ego's like, "Oh, you're a piece you're a piece of garbage. Like you're no good." And if those creative people don't have a buffer, a community, a morning routine, good habits, safety, people who understand them, then they start sinking into this dark, dark hole to balance out because we live in a world of polarity on this planet. So when they're one with God and they're creating, and unless they have a buffer, they end up in a dark hole, and it's really a hard lifestyle. So if they could just buffer everything from the danger or the glory, then they can manage and stay alive and function and follow the herd, but be kind of miserable. So I think if people can put down the buffer and gather with like-minded artists and talk and understand like they're not the only one, and it's okay to feel the feelings, and here's artistic expression, and to create safety from the sucking of the darkness, I think it would be a better scenario for the artistic community that suffers from addiction.
that explanation resonates very true for me. Um, I'm a musician. I play in a heavy metal band, and that's my like that's pure bliss, joy. I drummer and lead singer, and when I'm sitting in behind the drum set and I'm beating the drums like they owe me money, and I'm singing my heart out, and I'm just ripping off those fills, and the crowd is bouncing and going crazy and banging their head. I am like, there is no better place on earth. That is absolute joy and freedom. Um, and I through the alcoholism, it got squashed over a time, and then I didn't do it, and then I kind of dived back into it a bit, and it's just been this tear back and forth for me. Like so, you explaining this up and down movement, and so the buffer I created was the accountant, and I became an accountant, which I still people to this day, they're like, they meet me and they talk to me and they go, you were an accountant, or you are an accountant? I'm like, they said, you do not seem like an accountant. I'm like, that is the nicest thing anybody said to me today. They're like, how in God's name did you become an accountant? Well, do you have some time? Well, let me explain it to you. Ursula explained it to me really well. It was my buffering system. You know what I mean? Like, it was for me to fit into the herd and to have to fit into that space. But literally, if I could just play music, and for me, it's being on stage now. I'm finding that too. Like when I'm coaching and I'm on stage, I think of the three things that I do is I entertain, empower, and enlighten and empower people. So
Mm.
entertain them by fun and jokes and entertaining, like what you're doing now on the podcast. You're laughing about stuff, you're entertaining, right? And then empower, enlightening, which is shining a light into a dark spot that they haven't seen, and then empowering them to change themselves,
Right.
right? Instead of me doing the work. And so in my coaching and being on stage, it's the same three things, right? And it's this lovely expression of joy.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. And I love it. Like I'll come off a coaching call, and I can feel the energy too when I'm working with someone. If they're vibrating at the right energy and I'm working with them, it's like it's we're playtime. Let's go.
Yep.
And if it's the wrong person, it's like this grind, 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 grind.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
okay,
it's a constant invitation then.
constant invitation.
If you're working with somebody and their vibe is low and they're kind of
Yes.
resisting,
Yeah.
then we need to stay in our space of that knowingness and
Yeah.
love and compassion, and then just continue to invite, like, well, that's not really working. How about doing something different?
Right.
Oh, how about this idea?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it feel better if you did, and it's just a constant inviting.
Yeah. Which I think is the ultimate form of love for someone is allowing them to be themselves, but opening, like it's that opening thing where you said, don't believe or disbelieve me. As soon as you do that, you've opened it up. Freedom.
Right.
You've
Right.
given the freedom of choice,
Yes.
right? That and all I got is a picture of all of us little ones going to God. Oh, please give us the chance. We just want to choose. We want our own choice. Please, 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 please. It's like, okay, fine. I'll give you your choice. And then you just let them have, you give them the freedom of choice so they get the freedom to choose. And then if they choose to come with you, great. If they choose not to, I love them anyway, love them regardless of which way they choose because you've given them that freedom, right? And that's the only way to actually bring them in is to not force them in.
Oh yeah.
You can't force like
No.
this is the thing. It's like,
Especially in the addiction space.
oh yeah, no, that's still the case. Like you can't
Forget it.
don't even try and tell me what to
No.
do. That's why we lay we call it we lay the spiritual toolkit in front of them and say,
Yeah.
this is how I used it. This is how it fixed me. Here, go explore yourself. Just if you want. If not, we'll gladly refund your misery. Like if you want to, just go back drinking. Like
Refunding.
if you're not convinced you're an alcoholic, just go back drinking. Like go
Right.
for it. And with
If
there's
it's
no skin, we don't hold you back.
Yeah, if it's
Right?
not a problem, it's not a problem.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. But tell me how it turns out.
Right. Or
Yeah.
don't. I don't want to hear it again.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get to what we did together.
Okay.
I want to share that with the listeners
Okay.
because that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So in the internal family systems,
Yeah,
and um, so Dick Schwartz is the creator of the model, and this is a 40-year movement now. It's become a movement. So he lives in the world of the psychology, therapy, all of that stuff. I'm not a therapist. I've not been trained. I don't want to. That's not my jam. I am a practitioner because I am a licensed minister in a metaphysical movement. So, because of that, I was able to take the trainings several years ago, took all the trainings, level 3, and I come from a spiritual point of view, back to that quantum metaphysics spiritual point of view. So that's the world I live from. So that's the space I hold. That's the container I create. So as I do my own work and continue to live in the mystery and explore and all the things, the the who I am holds like an anchor for all the possibilities of the people who come to me. So someone can say, oh, and sex abuse is a prevalent problem for many people, and it's at the bottom of the barrel. And people just like, oh, yeah, that weird thing that happened, whatever. No, something can happen for like a 3-minute period in one whole lifetime, and it can change a person's direction from going straight to going diagonal. And it takes, so I volunteer with a community called sapria.org, and they do a lot of studies around this. And they have found that it takes a woman to be 45 years old before she can put two and two together that, oh, that thing that happened has affected me and my relationship and my ego and my self-esteem and so on and so forth. So in the world of internal family systems, we go into the subconscious, not the mind, the busy mind with all that chit chat, but the hard drive of our system, all the programmed conversations, feelings, conclusions, what I say conclusions, the conclusions we've made about how the world is and who we are. So in the scope of the subconscious, we have access to all kinds of things that are beyond the third dimension and beyond everything that we've been taught and told. You and I went into a multidimensional experience, which is highly unusual because when I do a session, typically we will go back into time and space of this lifetime. So, for instance, like that 3 minute thing that happened, and you don't go there the first session because it's been buried under so many things and so many events have happened because of that you kind of have to dig your way through. So similar to when we're in our head all the time, we're like, okay, this isn't working. There's got to be another way. We start digging our way through all the ideas about how smart we are and how we can depend on our, and we start digging down into our heart. So it's very common to say the spiritual path is the 18 inches between our head and our heart. So why we stop living from an emotional state, like we said earlier in the show, like you sense as a child, as a baby, you come in sensing and then you emote, and then we stop emoting because the trap door that we put the carpet on and the table over is pain. So we're like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. That's enough. I'm not doing. And no, we get mad and we're like, no, I'm not feeling my feelings. Forget it. I'm just going to be in my head and I don't care, and that's it. And then we march along the way, and that's where a lot of people live. So they're like, oh, this isn't working. Crash and burn, diagnosis, breakup, lost my job. So then we're like, okay, let's do some exploring. Internal family systems helps us go back away from our head towards our heart, opening the hatchet where the pain was, and then going down and healing and getting back to the heart space of self-love and receiving, whatever our belief system is that consciousness, that beauty, that reason for living, that, heaven, God, love stuff.
Hmm.
So in that access, because now moving into quantum, if you look at a timeline, you think of a line, and if you zoom in on that line and then just to do one little spot, like a dot on the line, and then you take the line away, now you have just a dot. That dot needs a reference. Time says past and future, but if you take past and future away and there's just a dot, now you can move in any direction. And that's what you and I did. We went into the dot and then moved on a multidimensional reality. And then because of our brain and the way we construct, we're like, oh, first dimension, second dimension, third dimension. But it's really all one big messy kind of thing. But our brain needs levels. So it's as if you and I went into an elevator shaft and started exploring the different dimensions of reality. So remember, we had that conversation about the galactic, you know, realities. Like, are we really the only one on this planet? How can that be? So we went into other frequencies of possibilities, and that's what you were experiencing.
So in most cases, so let me see if I can reiterate this back so that I understand this. In most cases, when you're going in and you're working with someone, you're going into a past timeline. We go into the past and we're opening up the heart. We're healing some past traumas, locked up energy that has been locked up in the heart and put away into that trap door you called it, and cleaning that up. We didn't go do that timeline. We got rid of past and future, went into that, and then went quantum dimension. And but you said it's all one quantum dimension. It's not multiple layers, but for our thinking, we think of going one, two, three. So what happened was is like because when we first went in and I can't even remember how we got started on it, but there was a I can still see it in my mind. There was an animal that formed in front of me, and it was an
Oh yeah.
eagle. It had an eagle's head, but a dog's body. And then it was like, what is and it was like very vivid. I can see it right now in my mind. It was cartoonish almost in nature. And then turned into the eagle and you told me to climb onto its back. And then we were flying around and I can't even remember what we were looking at that point, but I do remember coming back at one point and the eagle, I got off the eagle, I was standing in front of it or hovering in front of it, and it turned and opened its wings big, just this huge golden eagle, just boom, like just waving its wings right in front of me. And it was just like, holy crap. Like it was amazing. And it was interesting because I actually talked to Tammy Grantham, who had before, and she had done a session with me years ago. And she said, when you see the golden eagle, that's going to be the sign. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Because I told her what I'd done with you. And she's like, oh, that's great. And I went, that was this golden eagle. It was huge right in my face.
Wow.
And she says, when that happens, then you know it's going to go. Like then you know it, then it's going to open up. Like that's when you see the golden eagle. She told, like, literally told me that 3 years ago.
Wow.
Right. And so that was really cool. And then it was now turned to the other part of the animal. And then it was the dog. And it was was Rocky, my
The one
dog
who
that had
passed recently.
that had
Yeah.
passed recently and it was him, but it wasn't him. It was like
Yes.
all spirit of all dogs, if
Right.
that makes sense.
It was a dream state, a representation of him, and he was a representation of it.
Yes. Yes. I could never have articulated what you just did there, but what she said, I endorse that message. Okay. So what so and then he was the one who was guiding me through those different dimensions.
Mhm.
And when I was walking in, you said, okay, now you're going into the fourth and then the fifth. And then you just asked me, what does it look like? And I would tell you, and I remember there was one dimension I said, well, there's all these strings. I could see strings everywhere. And you went, oh, yeah, that's the blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Go to the next dimension. I'm like, okay. And then, like, as I'm explaining each dimension, you were going, oh, yeah, that's this one. And I was like, and then I got to the seventh. And that's when all of a sudden it was like this energy wave hit me. I was like, whoa, what the fuck happened there? Because you're like, oh, hold on, you're getting upgrade. I'm like, oh, because I touched an electric fence or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Right?
happened.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yes.
I felt it, and then you said it. So like you're what like that's the thing is we're doing this remote session together, and you were telling me things as I was seeing them in my mind. You're telling me, oh, this is happening now. That was a big one there, the seven, and it was like you're like, oh, you're getting a download. You're like, just relax into it, and I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what was going on?
Exactly what you said.
Like that, what an upgrade, like what was happening, like what?
Yeah, well, back to like I just got high from just talking about that because I revisited where we were. So now you want me to talk. Um, so back to the human spirit. You went like, and I'm like, okay, this is a little fast for he's human. Like, give him a break. So it was as if molecularly there was a disintegration going on. Like, okay, don't be so human right now. We need to upgrade your energetic system, the soul, the animating force within the physical. And we need to do some refining and upgrading, just like if you would upgrade, a car or something or whatever, like a computer, like you just upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. So in that, like a heart transplant or something, that's an upgrade of a physical body. So you have to be like very stay calm, stay steady, no moving around, don't make any questions, like stay out of your head. So you just have to be in a oneness place and allow the ego complete surrender, like, okay, go do whatever it's happening right now because it's for my greater good. I don't know what it is. I don't trust it. I don't, whatever. Please be quiet. Don't interfere with the frequency of that purity that was coming in to refine your system so you can be more creative, more intuitive, more in line, more heart centered, more loving, more clear. And we're all going through that in a way. You just had a very obvious experience of it. And that circling right back to the beginning, where the future is going to be really beautiful as this chaotic nature, the old power over the old Piscean age is disintegrating and this new stuff is emerging. You're one of the people that said, yeah, I'll lead. Don Barden, yes, I'll lead. Me, I'll lead.
So that was me opting in.
You already opted in. They're
I
saying,
know, I know, yeah.
your turn. You're up to bat, Eric.
Yeah. Okay.
That was your turn. This stuff goes on like when we're sleeping, but you got to experience it.
Yeah. Um, okay. As a side note on that, I've actually had moments where I've had conscious contact with, shall we call it, interdimensional beings, where I was, remember lying on bed in my bed, and they just came in and this happened the other day too, actually, as I think it was as I was driving even. And they said, "We're coming in for an upgrade. Are you okay with that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I just lied there and they said, "Okay, don't freak out." I said, "Okay, fine." I said, "Just don't scare me." And they're like, "No, we won't scare." I said, "Okay, fine." So I just lied there. And all of a sudden I just felt this, it was like an upgrade, but it wasn't like like this when we were doing that work together, and when we hit that seventh dimension, that energy was a different energy. It was a very, very focused, it was more sensation than I've had in the past, but I've had this happen to me a number of times where they're going,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, we're just going to work on you, do a little bit of an upgrade."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay, fine." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, go for it." And then they work on me for a while and then they go, "Okay, we're done." And I said, "That's it?" And I said, "Yep." I said, "Do I need to do anything?" "No." And they said, "It's taken care of. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Okay." And like, all right, was and then you go, what? Then the thinking mind goes, was I fucking, like, am I nuts? Like, am I hearing things and stuff like that?
Am I losing it? Right?
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
going
yeah,
crazy?
yeah.
I better not tell anybody this.
I haven't told anybody that. I just told you that about
Well, you
the
just told
upgrade.
everybody
Yeah,
who's ever
everybody,
going to
yeah,
listen.
whoever's listening to the podcast, hey, guess what? So Eric had this thing happen to him where he was lying in bed and these aliens touched him really inconsiderately and inappropriately, and he seemed to like it. No, that's not what I said.
No.
No, like,
But we have to be careful because that is possible. Like darkness can come in and do stuff like that. People
well,
have been molested and raped in that manner. So we
well,
have to be in a prayerful state of goodness and only allow good to come in, because that's the problem with drugs. Is they're on the freeway and there's no like, this is the good road, this is the bad road. It's a very confusing space in the world of drugs. Even all the mushrooms and stuff like that that people are doing is still drugs. So we
yeah.
have to be in a very prayerful, pure, intentional, greater good place when we do things.
I just had Marilyn Prebel on the podcast, another healer, shamanic energy healer, and she gave me a simplifier around that. She says, whenever I said, "How do you discern between the different spirits, like what's coming at you or what you're experiencing?" She says, "Oh, she goes, I just say, I come to you. Are you coming to me from the purest light of God and the highest energy?" And you just shine that light on them. And if they answer you back, then it is. If it's not at that highest energy, they will not answer you, or they'll just disappear and they'll
Right,
take off.
right.
Um, and It was interesting because I had that experience the other day too, where I felt there was another being there, and I was like going, "Oh, okay, well, I'll invite you in. Well, yeah, you want to talk? Sure." And like started interacting with me, and then I started feeling weird about it, and then I said, "Wait a second, are you God? Are you at that level? I'm asking you to come in at that high level." And then all of a sudden, poof, took off, and then I heard them say, "Yeah, he passed that test," and I went, "Really? Did you just mess with me?" Like,
No, they're not. They're not. No one's messing with you. But if there's holes and cracks in our system, if there's a weakness, if there's propensities, to be in a negative space, they will creep in. They're
Right.
like parasites.
Have, I'm going to liken this to recovery too. As I'm going through this experience of this upgrading and the rest of it, I find, especially in recovery too, as you start living by spiritual principles, your transgressions to lower levels of frequencies, you become more sensitive to it. Like
Yes.
I can't even lie like if I lie, I can't do it
Right.
because before when I was drinking, I lied about everything. I was
Right.
lying to myself,
Who
I'm lying
cares?
to
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
And I'm just going on lies on lies. It's like it was a way of being. Now
Right.
I can't even utter a lie without me feeling horrible. So did you become more sensitive as you become more attuned to the higher frequencies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's solar flares coming on now, and every time I'm like, I'm like, oh, check the solar flare out. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now because I'm really noticing like I noticed and I'm very sensitive. I'm a very sensitive. As you've already pointed out, like that's a trait of it's a quality trait, a check mark on the alcoholic trait, right? Very not oversensitive, sensitive person,
Yes.
right? Very sensitive person. But I've noticed that I can pick up on energies of people around me very like just like I can feel it really quick now.
Strongly.
Like I
Yeah.
can walk into a room, someone walks into a room and I'm like, whoa. Or I'll go to certain areas and I'll go, and my wife and I, Erin and I will talk about it. Erin's very intuitive as well. She's all of a sudden goes, oh, that energy, that I don't like the energy there. I'm like, no, I can feel that. Right. But I'm becoming more and more sensitive to that all the time. And that's
Right.
just what happens as you kind of
Yeah,
your
because
vibrate
you're
your
you're
energy vibration becomes.
refining, you're refining,
Yeah.
right? So like just the upgrade that we were mentioning that happened in your session,
Yeah.
we also are refining from density to finer, right? So when I don't know, say a musician, so they'll like do the thing when they're a kid, and but the further they go they can just like hit the note in a way that's just like everyone's like, oh my god, that's the most beautiful thing, because they're refining their skills. So when someone's very articulate and they're speaking, they're going to refine their words to be more clear for the audience, to be more relatable, so there's a deeper connection. So as we evolve, we're going to be more and more refined. So what you were experiencing, what you're sharing with me, is your empathic tuning in is
Hmm.
greater and greater. So when people can feel another person's feelings, they're called empathic.
Yes. Yes.
So as someone is walking through the world and they feel other people, they're experiencing the oneness.
Yeah.
The problem being an empathic is you feel responsible, and then so but the thing is, there's like not a bunch of clarity yet for everybody. So say, there's a person there and you're like, oh my God, they're so lonely. And on a scale of 1 to 10, their loneliness is at a 8. And then as an empath, you're like, oh, and then your loneliness goes up to 4. You haven't taken away their loneliness, but you've taken on loneliness. And now we're feeling too many feelings, and just like the people who suffer from addiction, they're highly sensitive people. They tend to be empathic. They tend to be dialed in to all of these things, and the world is overwhelming. So, so many people with addiction are also empathic, and the world's too much. So as the person understands, like, oh, oh, this is just being an empath. Okay, if I see a guy at Lonely 8, I don't have to change my frequency or my emotions. I can just witness that and say, okay, poor guy said only 8. Let me give him some love. And I can keep my loneliness at 0.
Hmm. Hmm.
So empath thinks like we're supposed to take on the suffering of the world. Nope. We're supposed to identify it and help uplift it.
Yeah. If they want to be uplifted.
No, like we just give it out.
Yeah. Just give it out. Let it. Yeah.
Just give it out.
You do the work and leave the results up to God.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one I wanted to get back into the session there. So Rocky, I guess it's Rocky brought me up through the dimensions. We would go up this higher, higher. Then we got to 7 and I did the upgrade. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, brought me to 8. And then all of a sudden he was about to take me to 9. And then he turns around and looks at me and goes, I can't take you any farther. And after he says, like literally the split second, he goes, I can't take you any farther. You went, oh, you can't go any farther. Like,
And you didn't tell me that Rocky said I
no, I
can't
did.
take
This
you
is the
any
point.
farther.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. For the
Like
listener here,
you
like
heard it in your head and
all
then
the
I
stuff,
said it out
yes,
loud.
all the stuff that I was talking about that I experienced, I was thinking, I would think it, and then the next second you would say, and corroborated my experience with your vision of
Hmm.
seeing it or
Hmm.
your sight. But
Hmm.
basically, I said, "Oh, yeah, Rocky just," and you said, "Oh yeah, you can't go any higher now." Um, and you said, or something like you're gonna unravel or something. It was
Yeah, it
something
was
to
too
the,
much. It was
you
way
said
too much.
it's
It would
gonna
have
be
been too
too
much.
much. Like
Yeah,
you've gone far enough. But I'm
right.
like, Rocky just told me that. Like he just literally got like he took me into 8 and he goes and he turned around and he goes, nope, not going any farther.
Yeah.
He goes,
Yeah.
he said, I can't take you any farther.
Right.
That's his what he said. He goes, I can't take you any farther. And I was like, oh. And then you said, yeah, you can't go any farther. You're going to unravel. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going any farther. Like, and so the other part I wanted to kind of get understand about this is you said it's unusual to go in and do that right away.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is that unusual or what
Because most people, they go sideways on their timeline and they go back into like something. So why, like so something that happened to them
yeah,
is an anchor. So it's like when there's a ship and there's an anchor, so
yeah,
the ship can kind of be around, but then the ship tries to take off and the anchor is very taut. The line to the
right,
anchor is very taut. So
right.
they're like, I can't move forward in my life. Like, I can't get this relationship thing straight. Or, like, why can't I get the next job? Or, why am I always beating myself up? It's because this anchor. So we have to go back and unlodge that belief system, that emotional embedment, that code,
Yeah,
unlodge that and free them up. So people are like, oh, I don't want to deal with the past, the past, the past. I don't live in the past. And I said, no, we live from the past, whether we like it or not. So we have to unhook because it's generational, Eric. It's not just me. It's not just my fault that the things are all messed up. This is dirty laundry handed down. You know, sorry we didn't get along around to this. Sorry, I couldn't, clean this up for you.
and so what I'm getting back to like your favorite question, which is also mine, which is why, and I'm going, is it because I've been doing so much work with Denise
Yes.
Grams and Tammy and Nikki Hughes and I'm going to be working with Marilyn and like I've done a lot of that work
Work.
to have those tethers and clear up the path like
Right.
once you've unhooked from the past. That's why I was able to with you
Right.
go into
Why?
the, shall we call it, fly into the quantum realm,
Right.
get rid of I love that visual that you gave me, that the line of time and then you pulled it away and you're just looking at the one point, and from there that's where you can access the multi dimensions. The Okay, that makes sense to me. So, and this is the kind of work that those that are drawn to, like, 'cause this is what I want to do, is I want to continually upgrade, and like I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
love
that's
it.
that's the other thing. That's the other thing because you're on the fast track. You're a leader. You're a voice, right? You're not
Yeah,
afraid. So that's why you also can go high like that. Because
okay.
you signed up. You said yes, Don Barden, me, ye.
Yeah,
We're,
yeah, yeah,
we're the yes team. So we're the leader, and we're like, I'm not afraid of death. I'll just do it. I'll just do it.
right. Sign me up.
Yeah. So
Oh,
in the internal family systems, in the work that I do, and some other practitioners have been doing it for a while, we have, I'll talk to the ancestors, I'll talk to people who've crossed over, we'll talk to guides and spirit, spiritual helpers. We'll talk to future selves. So there's all kinds of possibilities in the quantum realm. And then once we understand that and start experiencing, it's like the roads are cut, and then you can just go.
Okay. Um, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but we do eventually need to wrap up this podcast because now I'm going to want to have you back on because there's so many more things. We're going to do a lot of work together, though. I can tell. Like this is going to be great because I want to bring. I'm collecting. I'm not collecting. I'm attracting in the tribe. Like it's happening organically and easily, and it's
In
joyful. It's fun.
alignment.
It's alignment. Yeah. Like Don told me about you, and he's like, I'm like, God, set me up with Ursula, and you hooked in, and boom, and now we're having this great conversation. So we're gonna have more fun, but let's try and we should wrap up the podcast here. Where can people find you? Where can my listeners find you so they can do their own explorations, so they can go and experience and start exploring for themselves? Where can they find you?
I keep everything as simple as possible. So my website, all my social media is my first and last name, URSULALENTINE.com, UrsulaLentine.com. And there's a lot of information there to explore, but there is one link for a 20-minute conversation with me. So I can find out where the person is, what they need from me, and how I can take care of them.
Okay, I will make a point of grabbing that link and getting it into the show notes so that the listener can just quickly go to the show notes and click on that to have that conversation with you so they can explore for themselves. Because there is the invitation. If you'd like to explore, there's the opportunity. And do not believe or disbelieve a single thing either of us have said, Ursula has said, or Eric has said. Don't believe or disbelieve a damn thing. Go experience it for yourself. Right?
Yes.
And just remember, we're a bunch of little spirits going, oh, please, let's just go down there. We can do this. We can do this. And we've been here for thousands of years and we haven't figured it out yet. Let's figure it out this time.
Together.
Deal. Yes, I'm on side with that.
And if people are like, oh, I'm not ready to talk to that person, on my YouTube channel, there's lots of shows and things that I've done that they can just kind of listen to my content and see who I am and ideas that I share.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Let's go have some more fun together, okay?
And blessings to Don Barden for introducing us.
Yes, my brother Don. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Eric. I had a blast.
Thanks for listening to the Viking Academy podcast. Make sure to leave us your honest feedback by leaving a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode.